Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred We See Died Laughing and I am here with another weekly wrap up. So before I start off, I just want to apologise for not having a lot of videos lately. As you guys have probably noticed, I've just kind of been putting up my weekly wrap ups a lot this year, and I haven't really been putting stuff up during the week like I normally do. I don't know, I'm feeling just really uninspired I think with my videos lately, and just a bit low on energy when it comes to them, and a bit flat, and I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me basically, and trying to get my energy back up for videos and just, I don't know, get a little bit of sparkle back maybe. I don't know, I'm just feeling a little bit flat at the moment, and I just want to apologise if that is coming through in my videos because I haven't been putting up that much. I feel like this year I've just kind of I haven't really put up as much as I normally would. I would have last year, at the end of last year. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that I am going to be putting up my like wrap up videos and as much videos as I can till I figure out kind of how I'm feeling. I'm not sure how many is going to come out. I don't know if I'm just going to be doing my wrap ups for a while. I'm just giving myself a little bit of a break otherwise. I don't know, but I just thought I should say something just in case anybody has been wondering where my midweek videos have gone, why I'm only putting up my weekly wrap-ups, but obviously I'm still reading as much as I can. I have been a little bit slumpy with my books as well. I feel like I haven't been reading anything amazing or something that's really excited me in a while, so I just feel, yeah, I've just felt a little bit meh about the books I've been reading lately, so yeah, but I will talk about the books I've actually read this week in this slightly late weekly wrap up because I did not film yesterday, so this is a day late. But the first book I did finish this week was one I talked about briefly last week, and that was The Radium Girls by Kate Moore, and this is a non-fiction book about the women who worked in these dial painting factories during the 1900s, and it's basically where they were using paint that had radium in it, and because obviously radium is dangerous, these women ended up having really bad health problems a few years, like from a few months to a few years after they were working in these places, and they basically led really terrible pain-filled lives because of this, and it's about their kind of struggle to survive and their fight against the dial painting companies that put them in danger and didn't put in the safety precautions that there should have been. And it also showing how what happened to these women actually changed the world's view on radium, and how it actually kind of helped our own safety protocols now when it comes to dangerous substances such as radium and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this book. I gave it like a 5 out of 5 stars. It was just really honest, and it was really raw, I think, but really respectful at the same time. The author like went and she talked to the women's families, and she got to really know them, and she got to know their lives, and not just like it wasn't just focusing on the companies, and it wasn't focusing on the lawsuit against the companies, but it was focusing on their own daily life and their daily struggle to be mothers and wives while being ravaged by radium poisoning. These women whose jawbones were literally falling apart. They were picking out pieces of their jawbone on almost a daily basis. Their legs were short. One of their legs was shorter than the other. They couldn't walk without being in extreme pain. But at the same time, they were still being mothers. They were still looking after their children and, you know, looking after their husbands. And then, you know, you hear about the husbands who loved them and who literally had to watch their wives fall apart in front of their eyes, and they couldn't do anything about it but just rack up a load of death when it came to the doctors. Like, they were just racking up bills upon bills that they couldn't really pay off because, you know, there was no answers, there was no cure, and it's just, I just thought it was a really great portrayal, and I feel like this would make a really good like Netflix series. Or I know there's a play called The Shining Girls, which is how Kate Moore got to know the story about them, but I do feel like this is something that could make a really good documentary drama almost, if it was done like in a really like good way, like kind of on Netflix or something. I think it would be really good, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So that's probably one of my favourite books that I read this week. Been one of my favourite books I've read the last few weeks actually. I think I forgot to mention last week, but I did finish listening to the Queen of the Tearling audiobook, and I really loved that. I've read Queen of the Tearling before, and and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5 stars, but on rereading it I would give it a 5 out of 5 stars because I just loved it. I love the story. I can't wait to go on and read the second book at last because I never got around to doing that, which is why I ended up listening to it again, so I could refresh my memory on the story. And I just really enjoyed the audiobook. The narration was fabulous. It was narrated by a woman called Catherine Kelgreen, and she was just really good, really great, and I would definitely recommend her version of an audiobook because I think she just did a really good job on it. I finished a library book this week, and that was Happy Mum Happy Baby by Giovanna Fletcher. Obviously I'm not pregnant, I do not have children, I'm nowhere near in my life anywhere near having children. I don't even know if I'll ever have children, but this is just something that I just wanted to read because I've been watching Giovanna Fletcher from the very start of her YouTube career, I guess you can say. I remember one of her very first videos because I started watching Tom and Carrie, and then eventually when she started watching the videos I ended up moving on to her as well, and she immediately became my favourite. Out of all three of the Fletchers, Giovanna's my favourite because I think she's the most real out of all of them, and I just think that what you see is what you get when it comes to G. I think as much as I love Tom and Carrie, I think Carrie can be a little bit fake now and again, and I don't always believe what she says, and she can kind of annoy me sometimes, and Tom's just Tom. I do like Tom, but with G I think she's just real. She's just a real woman, she's a real mother, she's goofy, she's fun. I just really like her, and if you like her YouTube channel you will like this book because this is very much what her YouTube channel is, but it's in writing. It's her honest opinion on what it's like to be a mother, what it's like to be pregnant, what it's like to have a miscarriage, what it's like to give birth, what it's like to deal with all those crazy moments of parenting, but also all the lovely moments, and just how to deal with them and deal with the guilt and the pressure that is on everyone now when it comes to being a mother, when it comes to being a parent. And I just really liked it. I flew through it pretty fast, and there's some really cute pictures in there of Buzz and Buddy as well, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished was on NetGalley, and this was The Ice by Laline Paull, and this one I'm gonna have to figure out how to explain. It's about this guy called Sean, and he is a CEO of this kind of business in the Arctic, and this is set in our time, but it's a few years in the future, and it's the Arctic has melted even further than it is now, and it's kind of crisis mode. It's really melting. Things are getting really bad. There's not a lot of sightings of Arctic animals anymore at all, and it's about this guy who owns this he's the CEO of this business that's over there, and there seems to be some secrets around this business, and then a body is found in this glacier, and it turns out that 4 years ago Sean's best friend Tom died in this accident that happened when they were over, and there ends up kind of being an inquest into death, and it kind of brings up all these memories of Tom for Sean, and he's just kind of dealing with those memories, and there seems to be this big secret that's kind of surrounding the death, and was it an accident, was it murder, what is going on? And then underneath that all you do have kind of the whole environmental issues and social issues and political issues around the Arctic and owning this land in the Arctic and all this kind of other stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of this book because it took me too long to figure out what was going on, and when I realised I was like, oh, this isn't really the type of book that I thought I was going into, and I just I thought Sean as a character was pretty interesting because he seems like he's going to be this big bad wealthy greedy kind of businessman, and he's actually not. He's actually quite nice. He has a genuine interest in the Arctic. He's a genuine interest in trying to save it and trying to make it better, or at least sustain it for a while, and it's kind of he's just wrapped up in something that he has no idea what it is first and he can't get out of second, and I'd kind of liked seeing his own struggles, his own moral struggles when it came to dealing with all of that. So it went fast enough. It wasn't too much of a drag to read. It did read kind of quickly, but I just wasn't that interested in everything that he's reading. And then I think the author kind of tried to make the Arctic this whole other character. They were talking about you know, the environment of the Arctic and, you know, the sights and the things you'll see and all that kind of stuff, and I did really enjoy that. But then at the end of every chapter there is like an excerpt of a diary or some sort of book that was like written by someone who explored the Arctic in the past, and I just didn't really like that much, because I don't think it always matched with the chapter we were after reading. Sometimes it had nothing to do with the chapter we were reading. When you'd start reading this other bit and you'd be like, hey, what's going on? So yeah, I wasn't really a huge fan of that. So I ended up giving this like a 2.5 out of 5 stars really in the end, just because I just wasn't really pushed on it at all. The next book I read was The Totally Unscientific Study of the Search for Human Happiness by Paula Poundstone, and this is another non-fiction book. It's basically this comedian called Paula Poundstone, and she is doing all these kind of different experiments to see if she can find out what makes humans happy and what makes her happy, and seeing kind of what brings her the most happiness. And this, like, for the most part this was enjoyable, but like, you wouldn't, if you were actually genuinely interested in figuring out like what would make you happy, what would make humans happy, this really isn't the type of one to go for, because it's very just much her own experience, with like her learning how to exercise or getting exercise, learning how to organise her life better and her home better, and tidying up her home, and you know, being with nature more and learning to dance and stuff like that. And some of it was good, but then I felt like there was parts where she would talk about her children. Obviously her children are a huge part of her life, and she should be able to talk about them, but I felt like at times she was bringing up all these stories about her children that didn't always like really fit into the chapter that we were reading. Like, it was kind of like, it was just an excuse to put them in there, and I was just like, yeah, but like, I want to know more about how your dance lessons are going. I don't care about like what your daughter is doing in college or this conversation you had with your son the other day. Like, I didn't really care about that. I wanted to know more about what she was doing in that actual time. So that was a little bit annoying. And at one point she had 16 cats, and I don't know, I just felt like that was a little bit overboard in this like little house to have 16 cats. I don't know. I mean, I'm a dog person anyway, but like, even 16 dogs would be too much for me. Like, I don't know. And it's just something that I was just like, okay, like maybe you need to like rein yourself in a little bit. So yeah, I was being totally judgy, to be honest, when I was reading this at parts, when it came to the cats and stuff like that. But it wasn't a great book. It was just, it was okay. It was a bit of a meh book. I gave it 3 stars, but it would be a low 3 stars. So yeah. The last book I finished this week was another audiobook, and it's My Life as a White Trash Zombie by Rowland. And just take a moment to look at this cover, because I absolutely freaking adore this cover. I think it's absolutely amazing. I love it to pieces. I think it's so pretty, so badass. I love it. But this is about a young woman called Angel Crawford, and basically she thinks she's been in an accident, and she wakes up in hospital and everyone's telling her she overdosed, but she doesn't remember overdosing. She remembers kind of being covered in blood and being in this really bad accident, but she's no injuries whatsoever. And then she gets this like mysterious note and a mysterious package telling her that she has this new job in the coroner's office, and she decides to go with it. She goes there and she ends up starting to realise that she has a weird craving to eat brains. And eventually she obviously realises that she's been turned into a zombie, and it's just her life dealing with that. Dealing with the fact that she's living with this alcoholic father. Her boyfriend is a bit of like a no-good loser. She previously had an addiction to pills, so she is someone who would have like an addictive personality. So she has to make sure she doesn't get like addicted to brains in a way that she'll become like a raving. And then there's also other zombies turning up dead. So they're, well, turning up decapitated, so they're like actually proper dead. And she's kind of trying to figure out what is going on. So this is a one to read if you like iZombie the TV show, which I love. And it's really similar, obviously, because you know she's working in the coroner's office. Your one works in like the coroner's office in like the police department, which is a little bit different, I think. I don't know. But yeah, it's very similar storyline in a way, except obviously Liv in iZombie is a little bit more high class than Angel is, which makes things a bit interesting. And the audiobook for this had a really like heavy southern accent, so I actually had to listen to, I listen to audiobooks really fast, probably because I'm a fast talker, and the audiobook I actually had to listen to it slow for like 2 chapters so I could get used to the southern accent, because it was so thick. And I just find it was It was narrated by a woman called Alison McLemore, and she did a really good job. So the accent ended up being like I really liked it in the end, and I ended up being able to get used to it and go back to my normal speed. But yeah, I really liked it. I loved her character development. She really like grows as a character in this, and I just loved seeing what she was going to do next and about the zombie hunters and everything like that. So this is a series, so I'll definitely be going on and be reading the other books in the series if I can get them. And I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. That is everything I read this week. Please let me know what you guys have been reading, and I'll see you guys maybe during the week, maybe next week, I don't know. I'll see how I feel. So yeah, I'll see you guys then.